Welcome to Movie Monday. We went from the really exciting, fun, action-packed Spider-Verse to this movie, Children of Men, which I actually did not remember that this was Alfonso Cuarón who did Gravity.
Oh,
So I didn't know that, and then I saw the credits, and I was like, oh yeah, that was a thing.
that actually explains a couple
It
of
yeah, it
things.
does. It's
Yeah,
actually very similar in like style. Obviously, the plot is completely different, but like
yeah.
there's a lot of similarities, which now makes me want to check out like everything else he's done.
All of his other
Yeah,
movies.
well, because I know he
Oh,
did Roma, which was like really well received at the Academy
Oh, I
Awards.
heard that that's really good.
So
Yeah.
maybe we
I
can put
think
that on the list.
I
Yeah.
think when I read his Wikipedia page, I think he also did Prisoner of Azkaban too.
Oh yeah, no,
Wait,
he
really?
did. Yeah, I remember that he did.
Oh.
Maybe that's why it was so like different, but in a
Yeah,
good way.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't
Huh.
know.
yeah.
Kind of interesting.
This is just a big side note for this movie, but there are a lot of dogs actually.
Yes. There were I think at least 4 or 5.
Yeah, you see like well all the policemen had dogs and then a lot of the main characters had dogs or had were like carrying dogs with them or had them in their car and I was like, huh. I mean, none of them died, but
Uh,
so it wasn't it wasn't as jarring as like how it was in the Meg, but
oh my god, stupid Chihuahua.
So many chihuahuas.
But yeah, the only thing I remember, kind of again, I knew that a lot of people really liked this movie. I knew the base premise that like there was infertility, and
mm,
what happens with that, and I knew that ultimately like a baby was born, right? I knew that.
mm,
And the reason I specifically knew about the baby is because keep in mind this movie was made in 2006, right?
mm.
So
Mhm.
that's 13 years ago. But I don't know if this is all the time, but I know at least during the birth scene, the baby is entirely CGI.
That
Oh.
makes sense. I
Oh,
was
that makes
wondering,
sense,
I
yeah.
was like, there's no way they got like a newborn baby for
Yeah, but
this.
it looks really good for
Yeah, it
2006
does.
standards.
Yeah, I think it might have been the lighting. They
It was,
actually
yeah.
used it to their
Yeah.
advantage in this case.
Yeah, because I've been watching these videos by Corridor Crew. They've been going like it's like a reacting to CGI stuff, and a lot
Mm,
of it is going over like the techniques used as to like why this effect looks good or why this effect looks bad, right? On like a technical level.
mm,
And this was one of the things they talked about, and they said very specifically it's because of the lighting. Because the lighting it's from like one lantern, so it's very
mm.
easy to
Mm,
simulate that realistically because it's just one simple
right.
light source.
Yeah.
So,
Mm.
and also it's it's kind of dark and like newborn babies, like freshly newborn babies, kind of look a little weird anyway. So like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you can kind of get away with it looking a little weird. So yeah, that works really well in that sense. Um, but I didn't really know anything else about it. And
I think after like watching the movie, I was like, I think I saw a few like movie posters for this movie, but I didn't under. Well, considering I was like in grade school, I didn't obviously know much about the movie.
yeah, it was. Definitely now that I kind of realized, like, yeah, it is actually very similar to Gravity in multiple ways.
Mm,
The biggest one, like, it's not as like obvious about it than it was in Gravity, but there's a lot of shots that are held a really long time.
mm.
But it's
Yeah.
kind of interesting because like you don't really notice unless you're like kind of paying attention to it. It's kind of odd that like
Like one scene I can think of that fits that is the bus scene where you look through like where they're on the bus and you see like everything that's happening outside of the bus
yeah
Yeah.
in like the centers and stuff. It's just one continuous shot.
yeah it's very impressive just that they got because it's very impressive they got like all like the moving parts because again it's not like
Mm,
Gravity where at least the visuals are mostly like CG.
mm.
Where here it's like you actually have like a bunch of people moving around and like in the right positions for the shots to seem because it's one of those things again like you don't really think about it Because it would be really awkward if, like, you know, oh, it's like, here's all these people perfectly lined up in this manner. You know what I mean? It's like there's enough kind of jank in it where it makes it seem reasonable and you don't, like,
Yeah.
notice it, which is very interesting how they managed to do that and pull that effect off. And, yeah, and I also like how they really don't explain a lot.
Not
Right.
really.
It's just
like not immediately.
Yeah, well, even by the end of the movie, like, you don't ultimately. Okay, do you ultimately know exactly what happens? No, you can you can basically kind of figure it out, but it's not like super explicitly spelled out.
Yeah.
And even then, like,
I mean, you just hear it. Yeah.
and like you don't, for example, you don't ultimately know like what the human project really is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't really know like what was exactly going on in that refugee camp at the end, right? Like what was the farmers fighting, but like why exactly, right? And like, you know, you don't know like every character's backstory, you know what I mean? So it's like I feel like some movies would try to like over-explain everything for this. Which sometimes I kind of like that over-explanation if it's like kind of a world that I think is really interesting, but I think it works better here. Because it puts you in the mindset of these people who, like, you know, they wouldn't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like what I said about Cloverfield, where here's just kind of dudes who are kind of the point is they're like random dudes who kind of don't really know what's going on, just trying to get through everything, right? So this does that, you know, better. But yeah, and then the emotion works really well. In terms of what they're going for, and it surprises you when it needs to, and it gets you invested in when it needs to, and I like how again there's different kinds of surprises, right? There's like when like the flaming car like comes down the hill and like, you know, blocks out their path early on, right? That's kind of like a sharp surprise, like, oh shit, here we go, right? But then like later on when the main guy is kind of like eavesdropping on those other people, then it's kind of a slower surprise because you're figuring out, wait, oh, this is what happened, right? So it's different. It's balancing that.
When you mentioned like the emotions of scenes and stuff, I just remembered the scene where his friend Jasper, where he was confronting the people and he was just watching in the woods.
Yeah. Freaking Michael Caine.
Saving the day, one movie at a time.
Oh my god.
I guess just kind of a very small, slightly related segue. I was like looking at the like cinematography, like the settings and the backdrop. If you pay attention to the background, it does actually like give some hints because I don't know why I remember this specific lesson, but when Theo is at his cousin's house, the painting behind him where he was sitting, that was, I think, I might butcher the proper like particle, but La Guerra, which is like a painting that was done by, I think, it might be Picasso. I might be wrong. I'm not like an art history nerd or anything, but it was painted during the like Spanish Civil War, which is very fitting for the tone. And when I saw that painting, I was like, things are gonna get very, very bad, aren't they?
I mean, there's a lot of like small things I noticed. Like, for example, when they first show like, you know, the immigrants in cages, which how fitting, right? But even ignoring that, because the thing I realized is when you can hear them talking, and I'm like, huh, they're speaking German.
Oh.
A little reversal of that, right? So, yeah. Some of that.
It's weird because in some shots you see people going about their days as normal, and then like the scene right after it is like there's like a shootout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, it does paint. Well, that's kind of what I'm saying about how like it's not just like the characters seem to be kind of normal people, but like the world just kind of normally exists while crazy shit's going on.
Yeah.
So, which again points to like, you know, the quote unquote normal of everything. it does make you wonder because at like the very beginning they mentioned how like the United Kingdom is one of the few like surviving governments or whatever, and it's like it does make you wonder like if that's actually true or if it's just kind of a propaganda thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I mean, I'm sure it's true to some degree because otherwise like there wouldn't be as like
refugees.
right, but I'm sure there's probably other. Okay, for some reason I don't know when this came up, but I was looking at the Wikipedia plot summary just to see if I missed anything, and it says like in the parentheses it says like. The only other government that's revealed to be in place is Angola, and I'm like,
What?
When was that revealed? Yeah, so I'm kind of like, how random? Okay, maybe it's again some random thing in the background, but yeah, it's kind of weird.
That I did not catch.
Yeah,
so
why Angola? I don't know. I mean, it's
Most random
fine,
country.
but it's okay.
But when you mentioned the refugees and stuff, like in the beginning of the movie, they were mentioning how the refugees, like, they work so hard getting to Britain in the first place, only to be put in cages and stuff. And when you consider the fact that, it's an island and you have to.
Oh God, yeah, it's so.
It's not like Manhattan or something where there's bridges or you just have to go through like a small little, like maybe not a small, but it's just like a river or something. It's not like a straight.
Yeah, and it's because I saw there was a newspaper clipping on the wall that said like the tunnel like to France is closed.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, like it is interesting just how many parallels there are to like the modern refugee stuff. Not just all in Europe, not just in the U.S. too, right?
Mm.
And it's like of course they had no way of knowing that because this film was 2006. But it's just interesting, like how similar a lot of at least the rhetoric is.
It was so weird thinking that this was made in 2006 because I could have sworn this was made like a couple of years ago, just based on the tone and how relevant it is. I'm just like, all politicians need to watch this and reevaluate themselves.
To be fair, the whole thing with this kind of stuff is, history repeats itself, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like they're psychic and they predicted the future. I mean, it's not like that, but it's just interesting. Oh. Yay. Anyway. But yeah, I'm trying to think like what would I rate this?
I was just
sad out of 10.
Sad out of 10. I would agree with that ranking.
This movie is hella depressing.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
I guess I mean just I'm immediately now comparing this to Gravity in my head, right?
Where did you put Gravity?
Gravity I said was my fourth favorite, and I would definitely give it a 10, and I think Mai would give it a 35.
Considering I was crying the entire time that you guys were talking.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't remember what I ranked it. I know I ranked it high, but I don't remember what I did.
It wasn't in your top 15, I know that, but I believe it
No.
was very close.
Yeah.
Actually, wait, I have the document open right now. Let's find out.
Can we just, rank it sad out of 10?
Oh, there it is.
Okay.
27, okay. But, I'm at least comparing to Gravity. I'm thinking, I would say that I like this. I feel like I like Gravity a bit more.
I think I do too.
I certainly do.
Yeah. Again, it's very similar, right? And it's not like the same.
Yeah, it's very similar.
I don't think there's anything. I wouldn't say like, oh, this movie did this bad, whereas Gravity did it well. Like, no, there's nothing like that, right? I just think Gravity personally, the emotion, and also just even though
I would probably rewatch Gravity. I don't know if I would rewatch, put myself through this emotional experience again.
I mean, I'd be fine for that, but I definitely think in terms of just visual eye candy, Gravity also edges this out more. Like the shot and the cinematography and the camera work is really well done here, but it's not like each image on the screen is particularly great to look at. I mean, it's that's kind of the point, to be fair, is that everything kind of shitty. But yeah. So I can't. It's not like I have any real criticism for this movie. I just think Gravity personally kind of did things just a bit better in terms of how I view it. But I'm still trying to kind of I don't know. Is there anything else you want to mention about this for giving ratings?
Nah. I think we knew going into this would be a hard movie to talk about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Oof.
you want me to go first?
Yeah, I don't know what to rank
I
it.
don't know where to put it either.
Okay, well, I'm gonna give it a 9. I think it, like, in terms of, the movie making quality and stuff like that, it's, there's really nothing wrong with it at all. And, what it sets out to do, it completely accomplishes. I just don't think that it's just gets it over that hump to be a 10 for me. It doesn't quite get there, right? So for me, for example, Spider-Verse, I would have said that, like, just the use of animation CGI, that was so different and new and creative that kind of gave it the extra bump. And to me, that isn't quite here, even though, like, for example, if someone said to me they were super invested in this, they are absolutely just, like, got so sucked in and they gave this a 10, I would totally understand that.
Yeah.
But I'm not quite there. But again, that's not to say this is bad, like, at all. So I'm giving it a 9. I think that's a fair score for me.
I think I'm similar in giving it a 9. Where, again, I also would put it as a lower 9. We're talking about lower and higher. Like
9.01.
Oh my god, a low 9. Wow, that must be you hate it.
a lower 9 to Spider-Verse. But yeah, I agree. The emotions were done really well. It's overall a pretty good movie, but I think Gravity, and then it, as we put it in the description, it just didn't hit a personal note with me.
How would you compare it to Die Hard? Because you gave Die Hard a 9 as well. Very different movie, but...
Yeah.
Like, extraordinarily.
Or either of those two things. Die Hard is a 9 for its own reasons, and this is a 9 for
Okay,
its
fair
own.
enough. Well, it's on you, Lassie.
I'm also probably gonna give it a 9. And to answer your question about Die Hard, I would probably watch Die Hard again soon. But if I was to watch this again, I would probably have to wait a very long time. Because it's so, like, emotionally just draining.
Yeah, it is. You have to go into it knowing that you're in for an emotional roller coaster that's going to go downhill for most of it.
Yeah.
But, I mean, well, we did, to be fair. But...
If you're a politician, watch this movie. If you're not...
if you're fine with being sad, watch it.
Yeah.
Movie.
If you don't mind being extremely sad after... There you go.
Yeah, it's a very well-made movie. It just might not be for you if you don't want to see a sad movie. But yeah.
Did this director do any
not sad
happy
movies?
I'm kind
I think Gravity was a happy movie. Well, not really happy, but a thriller.
Gravity is very hopeful at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that the journey is difficult.
Would you consider Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban a happy movie?
Happier.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. Wait, he did a Great Expectations movie.
That's poster I don't want to look at.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
Naked lady.
Yeah, well, let's see. Okay. Yeah, the others are, like, things I don't recognize. Basically, yeah, in terms of more recently, it's been just Azkaban, Children of Men, Gravity, and then Roma. And from what I think Roma's pretty damn sad, but I haven't seen it, so...
Well, I mean...
Yeah.
Let's just rewatch Prisoner of Azkaban.
Wait, is this the... Oh!
Oh, wait.
That's
the one that we were... Wait, no. Ian, this is the one that we were talking about.
Oh yeah, Anne Hathaway's gonna be in that movie.
That's okay. That's where he's not directing it, but he's the producer of the Witches movie, the Roald Dahl book adaptation. That's weird.
Wait, did you guys read The Witches?
Yes, I've read the
No,
books.
but
No, okay, this was a book that scared the fuck out of me when I was like 6.
No, I watched the beginning of like, cause there was another movie that I think was, yeah, 1990, and they were showing it on TV, and I watched like the first 20 minutes or so of it, and I got so scared I stopped watching the movie. I
Yeah.
didn't want to watch it anymore.
I read this book, and I actually, when I read it, I actually really liked it because I liked a lot of Roald Dahl's books. It's just for some reason I didn't read Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. But
I like a lot of his books too. I kind of want to
I have
revisit some of
weird-
them.
macabre, fond memories of that book.
I kind of want to revisit it because I know I did read it like later when like I wasn't a little bitch. But I kind of want to read it again now. There's a couple that I want to like reread. I want to reread that one, and I want to reread the sequel to Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, the glass elevator?
Yes, because that
Oh.
was weird as fuck. But like I want to read it again because I'm just like I don't remember it that well. So,
Roald Dahl was a very strange author.
yeah, he is.
I guess I'm alone in not reading any of his books before.
Yeah, I've read those. Let's see. I remember the BFG. I liked a lot.
I did
The
too.
book.
Yeah.
Let's see. He did the James the Giant Peach, which
I did not read it. I didn't like the movie though.
I do. Yeah. Okay. I've seen a lot of people say they really like that movie, and I was kind of mixed on it. I think to be fair, I think the book is like not amazing, but yeah, whatever. We should not be talking about this right now.
Oh yeah, let's not talk about
Right,
Yeah.
guys.
Well, okay. So
Oh wait.
wait.
We have to.
one more thing.
which thing? The next movie
so,
Yeah.
Okay.
next month is October.
Yep.
Mhm.
In fact, the day that this is going up is September 30th, so tomorrow is October.
Yep.
But yeah. So go ahead, Mai.
So we're gonna do something a little bit different for October because, as you might have predicted, we're gonna do a spooky quote unquote movie month.
Mm-hmm.
Should we? We're probably not gonna reveal the.
No.
Not all of them, yeah. We'll reveal them as we go, one at a time.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So as you can, I'll make an image for this. So you can see 4 movie posters in front of you, and so we will be watching 4 movies corresponding to the 4 weeks in October. None of us have seen all of these. And there's a couple that like, let's see. I think Tara and we've seen 2 of them.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and then but Mai
I've
has
seen none of them.
yes. So
Because I'm a weak ass bitch.
so 2 of them only Tara and I have seen, and then the other 2 none of us have seen. So we'll see how they're all somewhat different. 2 of them are kind of similar, but yeah. So hopefully this will be interesting. And speaking of interesting, the first one we're doing may be the most interesting.
Oh my god.
So next week.
Yeah. Are we doing the roulette, or are we gonna wait
No,
until
no.
the end?
Oh, the roulette. We'll wait till the end of the October stuff to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Well, there's also something
Hmm?
we might not be able to because the 1st of November.
oh yeah. Well, we'll talk about that later as well. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's a surprise,
Yeah.
guys.
We're procrastinating the roulette for a
yeah.
We're procrastinating Cinderella.
This is why you made that idea. You just wanted to procrastinate watching Cinderella.
bit. One.
I did not do that.
Yes, you did. It's all your fault. But anyway, next week we are watching the scariest movie of all time, Cinderella 3. No, we're watching Attack the Block.
Yes.
I kind of don't want to say what it's about if you don't know. Let's just say this is not a serious movie by any means, and I hope we have a very entertaining time watching it because none of us have seen it.
Yep. And you'll find out what happens next in November, in October.
Yeah.
Well, the last movie in October.
Yeah. Oh, this is a mess.
I'm sorry.
Anyway, next Monday is Attack the Block. Bye. Good luck.